Welcome to this Warpath YouTube video, and today we're just going to be looking at the GCPS Hornet and its Plague version, and I'll show you how we put that together. So this is what you get in a box, a big pile of grey plastic, of course. So first thing to do is to sort this out. I've cleaned this up already, but I'm just going to put these bits to one side. So the idea is that we have a Flier that can either be used in the troop carrying capacity, or, which is probably the best way of using it, or we can use it as a sort of just general aggressive flyer. So these are the different bits that you've got. Bring those up here. So we've got some wings, they have some bits in here with these sort of ailerons or whatever they are, I think. Tail, body, front of the flyer. And then they have this troop carrying compartment, which is these two bits and these bits. And what we'll do is, there's also a few weapons in here as well. We'll put these bits together and I'll show you the Plague variant as well. And then we'll show you what the finished article looks like. So, first things first, let's put the tail together. This is a good place to start. So the tail, two components. It's really quite clean, quite nice. I tidied these up and cleaned them up, but really with just a very minimal bit of rubbing down. You can see they go together very nicely. Before I do that though, you'll notice that there's a gap in here, and this gap is for one of these sort of aerofoils or whatever they are, and that just slips inside nicely. You can see it moves a little bit. I've glued the ones on the ones I'm going to show you later, just to, it doesn't have a lot of movement in there, so it just rattling around in there seems a bit pointless to me. But I've glued the ones I've made. So that's the tail. You can see that's just dry fitted, dead easy. And then we'll put the body together. We have these two components, identical components. They just push together very nicely. And that's it, done. Nice satisfying clunk. We have a front, so you see it's like a driver's canopy, pilot's canopy. Again, satisfying clunk. That's a nice chunky piece that actually. And we have already got the basics of our flyer. Obviously you super glue all of these. Underneath there is an area here which you're meant to put this bit on here, like so. It just fell off because I'm just dry fitting this, of course. You can see this bit here. You don't really need that. You can make the flyer without the troop compartment underneath. I think it looks a bit weird without the troop compartment, so I'll always put mine on the table with the compartment on. Then we've got the wings. Now before we do the wings, we do need to do a little bit extra with those. So underneath you'll see that there is this gap, and this is for another one of these aerofoils, or whatever their names are, I don't know. And you can see that they're meant to take, that's meant to be secured in there, so we can get them, we'll just dry fit all of this stuff. That goes in fine. And I've left mine loose on the finished models because, I don't think that really matters, but you know, it's kind of quirky. And we'll do the same with the other one. Just put that in, it just spins around inside these little grooves, two little grooves to sit it in. Push that one in there, and again, works fine. Now let's go back to our flyer. Front canopy keeps coming off, but that's because I haven't glued it, of course. And we just push these in. There's two gaps on the side here. Now these are quite tight, these ones, but they go in fine. I'm going to turn it off because it's just going to fall out that one. Let's see if we can get this other one in. We can with a little bit of push in. Yeah, a little bit of force needed on that, but it goes in fine. So you can see already our flyer is looking pretty tidy, isn't it? And again, next thing's around there. So we're missing the bits off the side here. So we've got, just check that the right way round. So we have a wing tip there. And another one there. Obviously these are just going to fall off because, like I say, I've just dry fitted those, but you can see how that goes on there. And then at the rear we have a slightly more complicated thing in that we have two of these wings. That's the wrong one, sorry, yeah, that one goes on there. So we have two of these, one on each side, and again they'll probably fall off, but yeah. And they have these little upright wings on as well. So those are it. That's pretty much it. So I'll take those off because they'll fall off anyway. And then there's a couple of bits of tidying up. So there's an area here that goes in here just to tidy up. If you don't want, this is for the flying version, there is an option to put in a landing gear, which is, let me just see which way around it goes. I can't really remember. I haven't used this on mine because I don't really like it that much, but it goes on something like, oh yes, that's right. It goes on like this. So there's a landing gear sort of there, and then this bit comes underneath, so it's like a skid. I don't really like the look of that too much, so I haven't done that one. And then just look at the compartment. So the compartment has two main pieces. You see there's a floor in here. Before you put the floor in, it is important to know that there's this little central bit, sort of like an ammo box or something like that, which goes in the centre. You then put those two sides on, again all just dry fitted there. And then there's two big areas at the front and back. Before you do those though, you need to sort of rest the sides on, because you're then going to put one side with a door, an open hatch door, and the other side with like a larger exit one, which doesn't open of course. And then you've got it like this. There you go, entry. And this actually would look quite nice as a piece of Deadzone terrain or something like that. But actually inside you can now see that you could even put this down on the battlefield if you wanted. That's again like a piece of terrain. Be quite nice actually. And then what you do with those is you can see these bits on the top here. So they fit on here underneath in these holes, and they just fit into there, and that gives you your flyer. We'll see that properly in a minute when I show you the one put together. So that's very nice. All the extra bits, so you've got the skids here, don't really need those, and then there's a few different weapon options. There's some guns that need to be built for a man to fire from the side, like a Huey in Vietnam or somewhere. Then there's these other guns. This is a laser cannon, there's a missile launcher. These are similar weapons to the other GCPS weapons, heavy weapons for Warpath or Deadzone. And then there's a third rotary cannon, which is a little bit more of a fiddle. So the rotary cannon requires a few different bits. This bit, and then it has a central bit put in here, like a boss on the front. And then you need to put in the individual rotary cannon guns. You put 3 of them in. That's a little bit of a faff, but it's dead simple. And then all of those guns, I'll just show you one of them, will fit together in this gap under here, and you can put the gun in there. And I haven't put mine on yet because I'm going to magnetise mine so I can change the weapons to allow the multiple different options, the 3 different options in Firefight or Warpath that you can have. So yeah, that's pretty good. And that's really it. It's very, very simple to put together. Now there is a plague variant which is exactly the same except for some additional bits. And you can swap these out. So let's have a look what those plague bits are. Well, you can swap out the canopy for a start, so that is more battle damaged one with crashed up visors, because the plague don't care about anything much. There's a slightly different gun, which is a bit odd because they've got the same weaponry in the rulebooks, so don't quite know why we need a new gun, but we do have a new gun. There are some slightly different fins for the wings, both the rear ones and the front ones, which show some extra battle damage, and for some unknown reason some sort of attacking spear things as well, which I have no idea why as a flying plane you would want to have that, but that's what they've decided to have. There is an injured, or dead I should say, GCPS trooper, so he can sit on the front of your flyer. I'll show you that on the built one shortly. So you can, it suggests you put him on like this, but you could put him anywhere I guess. And then there are these other sort of attack prongs as well, which again you put onto the front of the Hornet as if it's ever going to charge anything, which is a bit weird, but yeah, we'll roll with it. Happy with that. No one on that side. Okay, and that's pretty much it. There's some very nice HMGs though. heavy machine guns, which I might actually use not on the Hornet here, but actually with the arms that they come through, I might find some way of using them on a normal guy, maybe sort of rest them on a tripod or on a bit of masonry or something. But anyway, so I think it's quite nice. The Flier itself, quite nice. And the plague bits, they're only quite small additions, but they make it look a bit different. So we'll see on the finished versions in a second. So here is the finished GCPS Hornet for Warpath or Firefight. You can see it looks pretty nice, just all put together. I've glued this one, but again I've kept these loose. And this is it really, so you can see from the front here, quite sort of stub-nosed. It's quite nice actually, I think it's quite good. From the side, you can see I've left off the troop compartment here, from the rear and above from the rear. And if you want, from underneath as well, you can just take that flying base out, and you can see where the marks are to put the compartment on should you wish, and I probably will, because it looks a little bit naked without the flying compartment. Obviously the idea, I think, is that you drop the flying compartment and then it deploys onto the battlefield, like that I guess, and then the Flier then sort of leaves it behind. But I think, to be honest, I'll always be running it with the compartment on, just for aesthetics rather than anything else, I guess. But yeah, that's the normal version, and the plague version, very, very similar, of course, but with the plague bits on. So this is the plague version. As you can see, it looks very, very similar. The flight stand, interestingly, gives it a lot more height. So you can see that there, because the compartment pushes it up. So that's another reason to potentially use it with the compartment on. But this is the plague version. So the differences are, you've got this different front canopy, you've got the dead body on the front, you've got the strange sticky things here, and there's a few other bits. So the wings here are different, again with these strange sticky things. Another one on the other side is different. They've got a bit of exposed wiring, a bit of battle damage, scarring, and likewise here at the back on the rear wings, these smaller wings, again also battle damaged here. This one should be intact and it's been damaged. And then you can see the compartment underneath, of course. So this is the way I'm going to run all of my flies, with the compartment there, again from the rear. And then you can still open these. I've left these open, so you could paint inside, detail inside. And it's actually quite detailed in there. There's also a little sort of bracket for inside here for you to put heavy weapons in, which is what that heavy machine gun could go on, and the GCPS version has a similar one. I'm not sure I'll bother personally, but yeah, I think that's pretty good. So yeah, two lovely Hornet Flyers, one for the GCPS, one for the Plague. Yeah, and they're dead easy to put together. I mean, once you've got used to the little bits and how they fit together, a bit of working out and a tiny bit of tidying, particularly, mostly only on these bits here, the aerofoil things, whatever they're called. There really wasn't much other tidying to do at all, and then maybe 10 minutes putting it together, if that. It's great, really good. Super. So I mean, you can get these either direct from Mantic, or you can get them from Black Dragon Miniatures, our company sponsor, and yeah, check those out, and I'm sure you'll see us using them in some games in the future. So thanks very much for watching. Just a short video this time. Please check out the rest of our videos, look at the Way to Fire Facebook page, and listen out for the Way to Fire podcast. Thanks very much.